How about for you, Allison?
I haven't done any exercise for about 6 or 8 weeks, so I'll just
So be
try
kind. Be
and
kind. Exactly.
I'll just try and follow.
Please. Yeah, exactly. And it's always true whether you've been exercising regularly or not. If there are moments where things are uncomfortable in your body, honoring that and doing
Yeah,
less is always the right choice. But sometimes it's an interesting window when you've taken a break from something for a
yeah,
period of time and then you're coming back into it. Sometimes you discover things that you might not have seen as you were practicing every day. And
yes,
it's not always that things have gotten worse. Sometimes it's actually that you can do things that maybe you felt like you couldn't do before. So it can be kind of a fun little window to look into. So I'm curious to
okay.
see how it feels. So I was thinking today, especially since there aren't any other requests to fit in, that we would focus a little bit more on the shoulders, both on how they move, but also on how we feel like we access the muscles that move the shoulders. So often we think about stretching within the shoulders as sort of the primary thing that we're doing. And we use leverage. We clasp our hands, we twist our elbows around one another, whatever the shape might be. We use something to pull against or to use for resistance to try to lengthen, to try to stretch those places. And I want to switch that dynamic a little bit for some of these movements and focus on how do we make some similar shapes, but really using the muscles themselves so that we're connected to how do those muscles move the bones? How do we actually move our arms so we can feel into that balance of strength and movement that comes from our own internal power rather than the leverage that we might be able to create to try to create a stretch. So these will feel much less like stretches, maybe also a lot more like physical work. And my thinking was that we would play with them first just from a standing position, and then that we would weave them into our standing poses. So we're going to start with our somatics practice as usual on our backs. But when we come up to stand, unlike our usual flow, we're going to take a little bit of time to explore these shoulder movements, and then we'll go back into our flow as we continue class. And we'll see how that goes. So as you feel ready, go ahead and come all the way down onto your back on your mat. And of course, as always, find a place where you feel comfortable and supported by the floor. Whether your knees are bent or whether your legs are extended, take some time to really settle both into the support of your mat, letting yourself ground and rest into that support, and to settle your focus and your attention into the movement of your breath. So that with each cycle of your breathing, your breath feels like it gets a little richer, like you can connect to and feel how it's moving your body a little more fully. Once you feel like your mind has settled and that experience from the inside has risen up towards the surface a little bit, then take a couple cycles of breath where you focus your attention in the front line of the body, from down towards the inner thighs and the sitting bones, all the way up into your chest and inner shoulders. As you breathe in, see if you can allow your breath to open, lengthen, and broaden that front body plane. And as you breathe out, of course, let that go. Letting your breath soften, but also letting go from any places within the body that might have helped support that expansion in the front body plane. Give yourself a couple cycles of breath where you invite both your focus to be on the front body and this movement to be mostly in the front plane of the body as well. Give yourself one more cycle here. Maybe noticing as you breathe in that your collarbones broaden, or that there's a tiny little bit of an arch shape that comes in as you expand the front body. And then softening, melting, releasing down into the support of the mat as you let your breath flow back out again. And as you feel ready, shift your focus into your back body. Again, as you breathe in, see if you can invite the movement of your inhale to happen in the back plane of the body. Can the back body become breathing space? So that as you breathe in, the back body broadens and lengthens. And of course, as you breathe out, let go and sink back into the support of the floor. Again, we'll take another 3 or 4 breaths here. Just as you did in the front body, see if you can feel how does your mind organize the body so that the back body can be moved by your breath. Most likely that happens through a gentle contraction, a gentle limiting of movement in the front plane of the body. And of course, as you let your breath flow out, make sure you're softening and releasing from any place that's supported, that gently engaged, to invite the pulsation of your breath to travel in the back plane of the body. And when you're ready, shift your attention over into one side of the body, right or left, does not matter which way you go first. Again, as you breathe in, see if you can invite your breath to lengthen, broaden, and expand that side. And as you take a couple breaths here, exploring that side of the body, see if you can feel or visualize a little bit of movement happening through that whole side body line, from the space of the ribs, where of course the lungs are actually contained, all the way down through the waist, down towards the hip, and up towards the armpit. Of course, noticing how does your mind organize what happens in the body so that you can feel your breath moving in this space. And of course, as you feel ready, shifting over to the final side of the body and inviting your inhale to move, to broaden, to lengthen that side. And with your exhale, letting that fullness go. Give yourself at least one more cycle here. Moving your breath, visualizing your breath moving in that side of the body. Give yourself a moment just resting as you finish that cycle of breathing. Letting yourself just be supported by the floor, noticing whether the experience on the inside from focusing your attention into the movement of your breath has changed. And then as you feel ready, start to explore that arching and rounding shape where we move from the pelvis. As you're ready, as you breathe in, as you let the front body lengthen, roll your pelvis towards your toes. See if you can focus on your waistline lifting up and your sitting bones rooting down so that there's less movement in the rib cage and a more focused sense of awareness down in the lower part of the back and the lower part of the belly. Hold this arch for a moment here. As you breathe in, see if you can gently press your belly up towards the sky. And notice that there's a little more contraction in your back to make that action happen. And then very slowly let that contraction go. Coming down little by little by little by little. No help from the belly here. We're not trying to press the back down, trying to let go of the contraction in the back body. When you're ready, we'll reverse that shape. As you reverse, see if you can visualize and feel the back of your waistline moving down towards the mat and your sitting bones starting to curl up towards the sky. Again, we're trying to focus this movement at the bottom of the spine. There'll be movement in your chest, maybe even up towards your shoulders, but see if you can really focus on the waistline moving into the mat. Pause here for a breath, breathe into your back. And of course, with your exhale, slowly let that contraction in the front body go. Seeing if you can take as long as possible, allowing that effort to slowly soften until you've come all the way to zero. Maybe noticing the sitting bones get a little heavy, a sense of softening and release deep in the center of the body. So we'll take a couple of cycles, really focusing on this movement at the waist. When you're ready, the waistline is going to lift up. As the waistline lifts up, the pelvis rocks towards your toes. Once you've found this shape, you can let the belly gently press upwards and maybe let your hips gently press down. These are both ways of deepening the feeling of contraction in the back. So make sure you're in a place that's comfortable for you. And then really slowly allow yourself to melt and sink back down. Once you've taken a pause, once you've come all the way to zero effort, then reverse that shape. Waistline presses down towards the mat. Sitting bones curl up as the pelvis rocks towards the top of the head. Again, for today, see if you can really focus on the movement at your waistline. Notice how that connects up into the ribs, maybe into the inner thighs and the pelvic floor, picking a cycle of breathing here. And then as you're ready, slowly let that go. We're going to take 2 more cycles. And on these last 2 cycles, I want us to add a little connection into the upper back. So we'll start in that same way. As you're ready, let your pelvis rock towards your toes and focus on the movement of your waist. Let the waist rise up as the pelvis rolls, letting the sitting bones press down, the belly gently press up towards the sky. And then bring your attention up into your upper back and gently press your shoulders down into the floor, seeing if you can feel contraction through the middle and upper part of the back. You should also feel your chin start to rock in towards your chest. Once you've made that clear, slowly let it go. We need our minds to feel that contraction so that they know where they're releasing from, so that we can shift any of those patterns of holding that might be present unconsciously there. Of course, reversing that shape, rounding the back, waistline moves down, sitting bones start to curl up as the belly presses back behind. So contracting in the belly sends the low back behind us. Again, as you make this rounded shape, see if you press down enough to start to feel your shoulders want to lift up, your chin reach up towards the sky. Again, not in a way that feels uncomfortable, just in a way that feels aware and alive of what's happening in the body. And then slowly let that go. Again, trying to take as long as possible with the process of release as you can, so that there's space for the mind to learn and process letting go. Give yourself a moment to rest as you come back to neutral. We'll take 1 more cycle, just like that last one. Again, once you've taken a breath or 2, just feeling inwards, then coming 1 more time into that arch, pelvis rocks towards the toes, waistline rises up, sitting bones reach down. Then root down through the sitting bones, let the belly press upwards, let the shoulders press back towards the mat, and maybe even notice how they want to pull down towards the low back as the fabric of the back contracts. Again, let your mind get clear. Maybe pausing for a cycle of breath, making sure you've really softened from the front body. And then slowly, slowly, maybe you give yourself a slow count of 7 or even 10. Come down in tiny, tiny, tiny little steps, watching for places that get rough or that get quick, and trying to slow them down and smooth them out. 1 final cycle with the front body. Again, once you've come to zero effort and taken a couple of breaths, then start to gently take the back of the waist into the mat. In order to do this, your pelvis needs to tip. So you'll feel your sitting bones come up. You'll feel your belly muscles contract. If you were to touch in the belly, you'd feel from the outside that they've gotten firm. Again, see if you can press down with the back of your waistline enough to start to feel the shoulders, the chin move,
the front body line close so that your mind is aware, is conscious and present in the work that it's doing in the front body so that it can stay present as you let go. Again, going as slowly and smoothly with the release as you can, thinking about lowering yourself down by letting go. Come all the way back to zero. And as you get there, of course, pause and rest. Shifting our focus up into the shoulders, let your arms reach up towards the sky so that your hands are stacked about over your shoulders. And then when you're ready, start to reach up with the left arm. As you reach up, aim to keep the arm soft. So the bones of the arm, the hand are simply stacked over top of the shoulder. And feel how to reach with the arm. The contraction comes through the chest, through the belly, through the inner arm. And then release that contraction and let that release of contraction slowly lower the shoulder back behind you. Again, no force from the back body here. We're not trying to pull the shoulder into the floor. We're trying to let go from the front body to allow it to come towards the ground. Reaching up with the right arm, of course, as you're ready, send the arm up. Let the hand be soft, the wrist be soft. Let the effort and action happen from the center to lift the arm. And then let that go really slowly, allowing the weight of the shoulder to melt and soften back towards the mat. So we'll go back and forth for a couple of cycles. Again, as you're ready, send the left arm up. Feel how the collarbone moves, how the shoulder blade needs to glide on the back, how the back rounds as you reach. Get conscious of what's holding you in this shape in the front body, and then slowly let that go. Coming to the right side when you're ready. And feel how the movement in the shoulder girdle, which includes the shoulder blade, the collarbones, gliding surface of the back, as well as the arm and the shoulder joint, how they all move together. And then slowly let go of that contraction, letting the shoulder come back down. So we'll go one more time to each side. Taking all the time you need here. Send the left hand, the left arm up towards the sky. Notice how that contraction doesn't stay in the chest, how it moves down towards the belly. The whole fabric of the body is really an interconnected, interwoven space. Slowly letting go once you become conscious of how that action took place. And then taking one final cycle on the right, setting the right arm up towards the sky. And noticing how the back broadens, how the front body engages, and then slowly letting the contraction in the front body go. Again, softening, releasing the shoulder towards the mat. And as you finish, let your arms come down by your sides in a way that's comfortable for you, and give yourself a moment to feel inwards, to breathe, to notice how things feel. So we'll take that action with the arms one more time, adding in connection down into the legs. So when you're ready, let the arms come back up and hands stacked about over the shoulders, arms reaching up towards the sky. And what we're going to add is pressing down into the same side foot to feel the connection from the legs all the way up into the arm. You might notice that it gets easier to reach your arm a little further. So when you're ready, start by pressing your left foot down. And as you press your left foot down, let that help you to reach the left arm up towards the sky. You'll feel that same contraction through your chest, but maybe also notice contraction down through the belly, deep in the left side. And then as you let the shoulder come down, let the left hip come down as you release the press of the foot and coming all the way back to zero. Of course, we'll try the right side next. Press the right foot down and let that help you to reach the right arm up towards the sky. Again, noticing how pushing with the foot might help your reach grow a little longer. Once you're clear on what's contracted to make this action happen, slowly let it go. Again, going as slowly and as smoothly as you can, coming all the way back to the rest. We'll take that 2 more times to each side. So pressing down into the left foot, send the left arm up towards the sky. And then let the hip come down, let the shoulder slowly come down. Again, we're not trying to pull the hip and the shoulder apart. We're trying to release what contracted, drawing them away from the mat. Right side when you're ready. Right foot presses. You'll feel the right hip lift, the right arm extend. And then slowly let that go. One more time here to each side. Rooting through the left foot, reach up with the left arm. And then slowly, consciously releasing the hip and the shoulder back down. Last time on the right, whenever you're ready, sending the right foot down, sending the right arm up towards the sky. And then slowly allowing that contraction to soften and release, letting the hip, the shoulder come back down, and releasing your arms down onto the mat whenever you've finished. Taking a couple of breaths, just noticing how things feel. So we'll play with one more somatics pattern, focusing primarily on the arms and the shoulders before we start to move a little more actively. For this one, we're going to take the arms out towards the sides like a T. And we're actually going to start by swaying the legs, which is a movement we're going to bring back into this pattern when we put all the pieces together. So just letting the arms be soft, supported by the floor. Start to let your hips rock so that the right hip rocks up, left hip rocks down, and let the legs sway over towards the left. As you come into this twist, feel how the top right side is lengthening and let the right shoulder rest on the ground. So only come as far into this twist as you can without losing the groundedness of that shoulder. And then lift the legs back up and let your legs sway over towards the right. So to sway the legs towards the right, the rotation starts in the center of the body, letting the spine turn, letting the hips turn to allow the legs to come towards the right, feeling the left side lengthen. We'll go back and forth for a couple of cycles. Slowly lift the legs back up, coming back to center, feeling how both hips now rest on the mat. And then allow the left hip to get heavier, the right hip to rise up, and the legs to come over towards the left. Legs come back up when you're ready. And over towards the right. And making sure that there's rotation happening in the center, length coming through the left side. So we're going to take 2 more cycles and we're going to add letting the head rotate. So as you come back up to center, pause for a moment. Legs are going to go towards the left and the head is going to go towards the right. So we're basically extending this twist, this rotation in the spine up into the neck. So as your legs come over towards the left, gently let your head rotate towards the right. You'll notice it gets a little easier to keep the right shoulder grounded. Come back up to center. As you're ready, legs will go right. Head and gaze will go left. Legs come up when you're ready. We'll do that one more time, just like that, allowing the head and neck to turn. Again, as ever, make sure the amount of movement that you're bringing feels comfortable and easy. We're not trying to force the gaze over towards the right, but to allow movement to come through the whole length of the spine. Give yourself one final cycle, taking the knees towards the right, head towards the left. And as you finish, the knees come back up so they're pointing towards the sky. So the second half of that pattern is rolling the arms on the floor. I'm going to start on the left side. We're going to turn the left palm down. Notice how that turns your forearm in your hand. Then start to turn the upper arm. See if you can start to rotate your elbow up towards the sky. Then let that movement start to include the shoulder blade, the collarbone, the chest, until your shoulder curls up away from the mat. And let your head go towards the right. So as the shoulder lifts up, it nudges the head away from it. And then slowly let go. Let your head come back to neutral. Let the arms spiral back to rest. We'll rotate the arm in the opposite direction. Palm will turn towards the top of the head. See if you can turn the upper arm to move the elbow towards the sky, and then keep rotating in that direction. Feel your shoulders start to press back towards the mat, and let your head rotate into that little pocket that your shoulder moving back creates, so that you're looking towards your palm facing up towards the top of the head. And then slowly let that go. So we'll do that one more time here on the left. Palm turns down, upper arm rotates, turning the elbow. Let that connect up into the chest, into the belly. Let your head be nudged gently over towards the right. You might notice that there's movement happening a little bit in the hips as well. And then gently come back to center. Rotate the palm towards the top of the head. See if you can turn the upper arm to turn the elbow. Let that connect into the shoulder blade, into the back, letting your head turn towards the left, into that space created by the shoulder. And then slowly let that go. Take a moment just to feel how things are on the left now compared to the right. And then we'll take 2 cycles of that same pattern on the right before we put it all together. So start by turning the right palm down. Again, see if you can turn the upper arm to rotate your elbow. Sometimes that can be a really helpful visualization for finding the muscles of the upper arm. And then let that connect into the chest, into the movement of the collarbone and the shoulder blades. And as the shoulder rises up, let it nudge your head very gently so that it rotates over towards the left. And then slowly let that go, coming back to center with your head, releasing the effort through your arm. Turning the palm towards the top of the head. Again, rotate the palm, turn the upper arm to turn the elbow. Start to connect into the upper back, feeling the shoulder press back. Notice how your back arches, and let your head rotate towards the right so that your gaze is always moving towards the hand that's facing upwards towards the top of the head. And then slowly let that go. So we'll do that one more time. Again, going nice and slow, being really gentle. The palm turned down. Rotate the whole arm here. See if your mind can find each of those separate little pieces, even if it's only a visualization, until you felt the shoulder curl up and allowed your head to gently rotate towards the left, away from the lifted shoulder. And then slowly let that contraction go, unwinding back to neutral. One last time, turning the palm towards the top of the head, and see if you can play with feeling each of those sections, connecting the hand into the back, letting your head turn towards the right as your shoulder moves back in space into the support of the mat, and then letting go from the back, from the backs of the shoulders, all the way out through the arm, and letting your head return back to neutral. So let's put all these pieces together. In the arms, that's going to mean that we rotate the arms in different directions. So as you're ready, turn the left palm down. Rotate the arm until you feel the shoulder rise up. Let your gaze go towards the right and turn the right palm towards the top of your head. And rotate that arm until you start to feel your back come into a gentle arch. Gaze here is towards the right. The knees are going to move opposite to the gaze. So start to let your hips rock and let your knees lean over towards the left so that there's 2 spirals, one crossing across the body from right to left and one moving from top to bottom. As you're ready, gently release, come back to center. We'll turn the right palm down, left palm up. So the right shoulder will lift, the left shoulder will press back. That means the gaze is going to be towards the left palm facing up towards the top of the head. Knees are going to go opposite the gaze, so they will sway over towards the right. Again, letting that rotation come through the spine and the hips to allow the legs to sway. And then gently release, come back to center. So we're going to take that action 2 or 3 more times, moving at your own pace here. Left palm turns down, right palm turns up, gaze goes to the right, legs, knees, hips rotate towards the left. And then slowly let that go. Let this be like a little dance. As you're ready, right palm turns down, left palm turns up. Gaze goes towards the left, knees go towards the right. And then slowly let that go. Give yourself one more cycle to each direction. And as you come back to center, taking as long as you need to get there, give yourself a chance just to rest and feel. And then when you're ready, easing your way over onto one side, make your way into a tabletop position. And as you find your table, of course, set yourself up with your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And we'll move through a cycle or two of cat and cow. Starting from the bottom, start to lengthen your tail down. Notice how this is that same action of rounding the low back. See if you can take each vertebra in your spine and lift it up towards the sky so that you include your neck. You include the lower, middle, and upper part of your back. And maybe press with the hands a little bit to really feel the shoulder blades broaden on the back body. And then slowly let that effort go, coming back to what feels like neutral, where the front body is soft. Reversing that shape, hug in with the lower legs, take the sitting bones apart, see if you can start at your sacrum. Use that action to tip your pelvis. This is that arching shape. And then see if you can let each vertebra from bottom towards top follow that movement into a gentle back bend. Again, as you get here, take a moment to feel how the back contracts, how the front body lengthens, and then slowly let that go. We'll go one more time in each direction and see if you can invite your mind to play with articulating this movement, with moving each piece of the system that makes up your spine. Finding this rounded shape, noticing which places are easy, which places are challenging to move, and then slowly letting go of the effort it took to bring you into that shape. Reversing the curve, again, seeing if you can start by tipping your sacrum, inner thighs move back and apart. There's a little action right at the base of the spine, letting that wave travel, again, vertebra by vertebra. Seeing if you can feel movement up into your upper back, up into your neck, rather than just at the connection between the ribs and the lumbar spine. Again, pausing for a breath, really making sure you've softened in the front body and the chest, letting the shoulders move back so the collarbones are broad. And then slowly let that go. Taking a couple cycles towards the right and the left, let the left hip draw up, left shoulder draw down. See if you can feel each space along that left side come into a little gentle contraction. See if you can feel how contracting in the left side moves your waist towards the right. And then let that go slowly, coming back to neutral. Sending your waist towards the left, draw the right hip up, right shoulder down. And see if you can feel the waistline space push towards the side so that we're not moving the hips as much as we're moving the center of the body. And then slowly let that go. One more time in each direction here. Left shoulder draws down, left hip draws up, waist is displaced, is pressed out towards the right side. And then soften and let go of that effort. One last time on the right. Right hip draws up, right shoulder draws down, waistline shifts towards the left. And then soften that effort. Come back to neutral. Keeping the shoulders gliding forward, tops of the thighs and hips reaching back. Tuck your toes and bring yourself into downward facing dog. As you find your down dog, have a glance forward at your hands. Make sure you're really rooted through the outer rims of the palms. That means the base of the first finger, base of the thumb is really anchored. And then lift the inner shoulders up. You might want to come forward kind of halfway towards plank. And as you lift the inner shoulders up, broaden your collarbones and hug the outer arms in so that you're turning the creases of the elbows towards your thumbs. So this is two opposite spirals happening in the arms. And then hug in with your legs and reach up and back with the sitting bones. See if you can allow your shoulder blades to go with your arms and your spine to extend so that you can reach the hips up and back. We'll be here for a couple of breaths. If you like, walk in place. Bend one knee, let the other heel reach towards the mat. And coming back through center shift. Just as you were doing in that twisting variation, let the hips move here. Let there be almost like a little washing machine action here. oscillating back and forth. Give yourself one more cycle of breath. And then coming back to center, walk your feet up to meet your hands, come into a forward fold. Get grounded through the corners of the feet. Lift and spread the toes if you need to find the center of the heels, the base of the little toe, base of the big toe. Keeping the toes lifted if you like, or allowing them to come down. Let that help you to activate the arches of your feet so that you're lifting up into your center and rooting down through the legs into the earth. Once you've found that connection, it should help you to take the tops of the thighs back to let your spine be long. Then bring your hands onto your knees. And with your inhale, extend equally back through your tail, forward through the top of your head. And then slowly release that effort, letting your spine round and bow back in. We'll do that 2 more times. See if you can pull up from the arches through the inner thighs, root down through the feet as you extend your spine forward. And then slowly let that go. One more time here. As you come into this extension, notice whether you're pressing with your hands. If you are, see if you can keep that contact light, or maybe even don't place the hands there at all if you like. And then slowly let yourself come down so that we aren't maintaining contraction by pushing with the arms, but are really extending through the spine. And then when you're ready, either coming up in one piece or rolling up vertebra by vertebra, come all the way up to stand. Once you've gotten to stand, rather than exploring these breath movements that we often play with, we're going to try a couple other movements that are really about feeling that mobility, or maybe lack thereof, in the shoulders. So for the first one, standing in a way that feels grounded through your feet, you're going to take your arms forward in front of you, and bending at the elbows, you're going to take your elbows and your little fingers together. So this is kind of the shape that we make for eagle arms, but rather than trying to leverage the upper back, we're going to try to play with the strength of the upper arms and the upper back. So keeping the elbows touching, start to take your hands and move them apart. As you move them apart, you'll notice it takes quite a bit of effort to pull the hands apart. We're trying to get active and mobilize that muscle strength in the shoulders. And then let your hands come back together and release your arms down by your side for a moment. So we're going to do that action twice more. So when you're ready, arms will come back up, elbows will be bent, palms will face you. Elbows, little fingers will be together. Elbows kind of in line with your shoulders if you can. And then keeping the elbows touching, use the muscles in your upper back and upper arms to take the hands apart. Take a breath or two, make sure you're still breathing. And then release and let your arms come back down by your sides. So we'll do that one more time. When you're ready, arms come back up. And as you're ready, take the hands apart. If you notice your ribs come way forward, gently call them back. See if you can lengthen through the top of your head, down through your tail. Give yourself a final breath here. And then gently release. And let your arms come back down. You might have noticed, as I did, that there's a lot of shaking going on in that kind of an action because we're really asking our minds to connect to parts of the body that we might not always feel. So take a moment just to circle your shoulders. Let that be sort of a coming back to neutral, a releasing of that effort. Go the other way if you haven't already. And we're going to try one more pattern of mobilization from the standing position before we come back into our vinyasa flow. For this one, take your arms out towards the sides, and then take your right arm up towards the sky and your left arm down. So we're going to bend at the elbows, make gentle fists. We're going to take our fists back behind us, and we're going to try to keep our fists from touching our backs by moving the hands away, not by taking our backs away from our fists. So start by bending your elbows. That means your right hand is coming back behind your right shoulder, left hand is coming towards the low back, and let them come in towards one another as much as you can, keeping your fists away from your back. We'll stay here for a breath or two, so make sure you're breathing. And then gently release. We extend the arms, let the arms come back out towards the sides,
and we'll switch. So the left arm will go up, right arm will go down. Bending at the elbows, take your fists back behind you. Again, see if you can hover them away from the back. Reach the hands towards one another, but without pulling on anything to try to make that happen. And then gently release, arms come out towards the sides. We're gonna do that one more time. Right arm goes up, left arm goes down. Bend at the elbows, float the hands, let them reach towards one another. And then we'll let that go. Arms will circle through the side body plane. Left arm will come up, right arm will go down. Again, bending at the elbows, hands go back behind you. Again, trying to keep them away from the back, reaching them towards one another. And then let that go. The arms come out towards the sides. And lower your arms down. Again, take a moment just to make some little circles. Switching directions. And then we're going to take one more standing somatics pattern while we're here, connecting to the upper part of the shoulders and the upper part of the side body. So as you feel ready, we're going to take the right shoulder and gently lift it up towards the right ear. So I know for me, I need to focus on this muscle right here at the side of the neck. That might be true for you. If so, make sure you're lifting the inner part of the shoulder as well as the outer part of the shoulder.
Tilting our head too.
Head is going to go in that direction because those muscles are connected to your head. The opposite shoulder, the left shoulder, is going to pull down. So this is a zigzag line that you're making, one shoulder up, one shoulder down. And then slowly let go of both sets of contractions so that you're gently lowering the right shoulder down and allowing the left shoulder to rise up. Don't pull against any tension that you might feel in the neck or shoulders. Do less if it's really tight there. We'll reverse the diagonal. So the right shoulder is going to rise up. Again, focusing maybe on this corner between the shoulder and the neck. And the right shoulder is going to pull down so that you're contracting downwards on the right, upwards on the left. Again, feel the contraction gently, let it be conscious so that you can consciously let it go. Very slowly, let the shoulder on the left soften down, the shoulder on the right regain its buoyancy. So we're going to do that 2 more times. Right shoulder is going to go up, left shoulder is going to go down. Give yourself a breath here, just to this diagonal line, making it conscious. And then slowly, again, the more slowly you go, the more your mind has to really pay attention. Let the shoulder get weighty on the right, let it get light on the left. Reversing the line, left shoulder rises up, right shoulder draws down. You might notice that one diagonal is significantly easier than the other diagonal. And really consciously, really slowly, really smoothly let that go. One more time here in each direction. Let that right shoulder come up, the left shoulder come down. You might notice that your head wants to come over towards the right shoulder. If that's comfortable, you can let it happen. And then allow that effort to soften. And as you soften that effort, of course, if your head came over towards the shoulder, make sure you release in the upper part of that line so your head comes back to neutral. Last time, of course, is going to be the left shoulder coming up, right shoulder going down. You're taking that zigzag in the opposite direction. No pain, no force. And then really slowly feeling what it's like to let go from those muscles. The shoulders come back to neutral. Again, take a moment, maybe even closing your eyes, just to feel into that space and notice whether it's changed. And then from here, we're going to take a couple of cycles with our usual breath spirals in the arms. So as you exhale, let the palms turn towards the back, let the arms rotate, similar to that movement we were taking on the floor. And let your chest close, let your upper back round. Feel the shoulder blades broaden. And as you breathe in, let your breath bring you back up to stand, letting go of that effort. Moving in the opposite direction with the arms, palms turn out. Let that spiral come up into the upper back, bringing you into a little standing back bend. And then slowly let that go, coming back to stand back. We'll go in each direction twice more. The palms turn towards the back, rotate the arms, Let that round your upper back. See if you can sink your heart backwards. And then slowly let that go, letting your heart rise back up again. As you move into a back bend, your heart is moving forward and up. So as you turn the palms out, see if you can feel the center of your chest move in that direction as your back contracts. And then let that go. We'll go one more time in each direction, again, following your own pace of breath here. Let your exhale match with this movement so that as you let your breath out, you're rounding inwards. And as you let your breath in, let it bring you back to stand. As you let your breath out, turn the palms out, let your heart and chest rise up and forward. And as you let your breath go, let that contraction go, coming to stand tall. So building that into a sun salutation, let the arms spiral towards the back again as you exhale. Feel the ribs sink back, feel your heart sink back, feel the back get long. We want to be long on all four sides. Start by releasing from your low belly. Bend your knees a little bit, let your pubic bone, your sitting bones reach down so now front body and back body and the lower part are long. And then come up through your upper back and release the tension from your chest so that your shoulders are stacked over this anchor of the ribs. And once your palms have turned out, the arms rise up towards the sky as you root down through your feet. And as you exhale, let your hands come down through center, soften at the knees so you can take the tops of your thighs way back. And think of forward folding, almost like a counterbalance. Hips go way back to allow the upper body to bow and round inwards. As you come into your forward fold, pause for a moment. Anchor the corners of the feet, bringing your belly and your thighs close or keeping them touching, even better. Lift your sitting bones up a little bit until you start to feel a stretch through the hamstrings. That might not be much of a change, or it might be a lot of movement depending on how tight things are there. Coming into half flat back, as you inhale, reach back through your tail, out through the top of the head. See if you can keep that softness at the front of the thighs. Knees stay a little bent. As you exhale, bow and fold. Take your hands to your hips, come up in any way you like. Make sure you keep the chest broad. Release your hands as you exhale, rotate the palms. Let that sink your ribs, your heart back behind you. And then see if you can stack the hips underneath the ribs. Release the low belly, let the tops of the thighs go back. Stack the shoulders over the ribs, coming up through the upper back, softening through the chest. And then lengthening up through your fingertips, up through the top of your head, root down through your legs and tail. With your exhale, send the hips backwards as you bow forwards, releasing your breath as you bow forward and in. Take your hands to your knees, extend out long. This time, bring your hands down, make your way back, downward facing dog. Ground the inner hands, lift the inner shoulders high, and engage with the outer arms to turn the corners of the elbows towards the thumbs. Hug in with the legs. Take the upper inner thighs back and apart like a Y of energy that you're reaching out through the sitting bones, and reach through your tail as you lengthen through the top of your head. Come forward to plank. And as you're ready, come all the way down onto the mat. We'll take only one cycle of Cobra Pose today, so choose whatever you would like as your variation. Arms can be by your sides, palms can be in line with the ribs. You can work with this action we've been playing with the hands on the low back. That's where I'm going to work today since we're focusing in on the shoulders. If you're bringing your hands, if you're following your own variation, please take it at whatever pace you need, taking 3 cycles. If you're playing with the hands on the low back, as you breathe in, lift your shoulders, reach your arms back behind you as if you were going to touch your toes. And then start to take your arms out towards the sides. Turn the palms forward, rotating the arms, and then let the arms come forward so that they reach out in front of you. And then slowly release, let the arms come back out towards the sides. Turn the palms to face towards the back and let them come to rest on your low back as you come all the way down. So if you're moving with the arms, we'll do that twice more. Again, as you're ready, lift the shoulders, front body softens here. Reach the arms towards the back, that'll lift you up. Take the arms out towards the sides, rotate the arms. Notice what muscles do this action. Take the arms forward, again, feeling how that happens. And let the arms come out to the sides. Let the palms rotate towards the back and come to rest. Letting the hands come down onto the low back, bending the elbows, letting the shoulders pour off the back as you rest. So we'll do that one more time. Again, lifting the shoulders, reaching through the arms as you rise up. Then allowing the shoulder blades to move on the back, turning the palms, allowing the arms to come forward, feeling how the shoulder blades go with the arms. And then release. Arms come back out to the sides, the palms turn towards the back, then towards the sky. And again, as you come down, letting the elbows bend, letting the hands come to rest on the low back, softening into the floor. Take a moment just to rest. And then when you're ready, tuck your toes, make your way back, downward facing dog. We're going to take a couple breaths here. See if you can find that same lift for the inner shoulders, that same connection through the hands and the power of the arms. See if you can press the floor away from you and explore lengthening the arms by letting the shoulder blades move on the back. And then from here, we're going to come into a standing pose. Let the right foot come forward. Left heel is going to stay lifted. We're setting up for a lunge kind of shape. And we're going to add into it first the arm variation where we brought the elbows and the little fingers together. So hug in with the legs, lift up through the arches, find the corners of the feet. And when you're ready, start to rise up. Rather than taking the arms up overhead, we're going to start by bringing the elbows and the little fingers together. Make sure you're steady and connected in your center so that your ribs haven't flown forward. And as you inhale, take the hands apart. And as you exhale, let them come back together. So we're going to do that 2 more times. As you inhale, take the hands apart. As you exhale, let them come together. One more time. Inhale the hands apart. Exhale them together. Release your arms, sweep them up towards the sky. And then add a twist. Bring your hands down. We're going to stay less time in our twist. Left elbow comes across towards the outer edge of the right knee. Stay powerful and connected with the legs. Use your core to lift your heart towards your thumbs. Give yourself one more breath here. And then release your hands. We're going to switch to the other side. Left foot comes forward. Right foot steps back. Make sure you end up with the knee aiming out over the second toe so that there's no twisting at the knee in the back and the front leg. And as you're ready, start to rise up. Awesome. When you're ready, arms come up in front of you, elbows bent, inner elbows, little fingers touching one another, palms facing you. Again, as you inhale, take the hands apart. As you exhale, let them come back together. As you inhale, breathe them open. As you exhale, let that go. One more time. Inhale, breathe them open. Exhale, let that go. Let your hands come down, let them sweep up. Adding a twist, hands come down in front of you. It could be that you take your hand across if you need less twist, or maybe you take your elbow around towards the outer edge of the knee. Resist the tendency to pull. See if you can hug with the legs, lengthen through your spine, and then engage through your core to rotate your heart towards your thumbs. Again, you can always extend through the arms if you like. Give yourself a final breath here. And then as you're ready, release your hands. Step back, downward facing dog. We'll come to the right side. Right foot's gonna come forward. Right heel's gonna pivot back and down. So as you might have guessed, we're adding in those mobilization exercises in our standing poses. So we're gonna come up like warrior 2. And as you get there, take one arm out towards the bottom, one out towards the top of the mat. So you're in this T-like shape with the arms. And see if you can lift the arches up and root the corners of the feet down. We need to be connected in the center in order to play with the shoulders so that we aren't already being impacted by a sense of disconnect in our centers. So we're going to take the right arm up towards the ceiling, left arm down towards the mat. Make gentle fists, bend the elbows, take your hands back behind you as you exhale. As you inhale, sweep the arms back out towards the sides. Let the left arm rise up, right arm move down. As you exhale, bend at the elbows, take the hands back behind you. As you inhale, release. Take the arms out towards the sides. Right arm moves up, left arm moves down. Take the hands back behind you. Inhale, release. One more time, left arm goes up, right arm goes down. As you exhale, bend at the elbows, hands hover. As you inhale, release. Sweep the arms out towards the sides. We're going to come through Parsvakonasana for a couple of breaths. Bring the right forearm down, left arm rises up, left arm rotates. Again, let the side body lengthen, let the shoulder blade move with the arm to reach out long. When the back muscles are tight, it tends to send the ribs forward and pull the shoulder blade down the back. See if you can soften the ribs back and let the arm extend from the upper back and shoulder blades. And releasing your hands down onto the mat. We'll switch sides. You can come through center. You can switch feet however you like. We're going to take the left foot forward, right heel back and down. Again, we're aiming to get the left heel about in line with the arch or the heel of the back foot. Ground through the corners of the feet. Again, see if you can find the center of the heel, base of the little toe, base of the big toe. So you're creating a suction cup, pulling energy up through the arches while you anchor yourself down. And as you're ready, come up, warrior two. Again, arms will extend towards the top and bottom of the mat. Left arm is going to go up, right arm is going to go down. Make gentle fists as you exhale, hands go back behind you. As you inhale, re-extend. Take the hands out to the sides. When you're ready, right arm goes up, left arm goes down. With your exhale, bend. With your inhale, re-extend. Hands come out to the sides. Left arm goes up. Bend at the elbows, hover the hands. Send the arms back up. Arms come out towards the sides. Last time. Left arm goes down, right arm goes up. Bend at the elbows. Notice how the arms have to rotate. Then release. Arms go back out towards the sides. Parsa is next. Left forearm comes down under the thigh. Right arm goes up. Again, as you rotate, let this action of reaching come from the shoulder blade. Can the shoulder blade spiral up and out so that it's moving towards the top of the head as you reach through the arms? Again, we'll be here for a few breaths. Check in with the ribs. Check in with that sense of length through the sides of the body. See if you can lengthen down and out through your tail, up and long through the top of your head. Give yourself a final breath here. And then bring your hands down. Make your way back, downward facing dog. From down dog, let your knees come down onto the mat. And taking one final active shoulder stretch here. Bring your forearms down. This time we're going to keep the forearms shoulder width, or the elbows rather, shoulder width distance apart. And we're going to bring the palms together so that the fingertips are in line, palms of the hands are touching one another. Walk your knees back a little bit if they're right underneath your hips. And then lift the ribs a little bit, hug in with your legs, see if you can lengthen top to bottom, bottom to top through your spine. Now, start to sit your hips back towards your heels and lift your hands up as you lower your forehead down onto the mat. If your forehead doesn't come all the way down, you can always put a block underneath your forehead so that you don't have to hold your head up. Once you've created this shape, pull your elbows into the mat. Feel how your shoulders lift up. See if you can access that connection to lift the shoulders and then broaden them. And then let the hips maybe reach back a little further, keeping that effort. We'll be here a couple more breaths. You should feel a sense of lengthening along the underside of the arms. If you'd like, press your fingertips together and take your palms apart as if you were holding a ball in the center of the palms. And notice how that takes your armpits apart and broadens you through your upper back. Give yourself another breath or two here. And start to gently release the hands.
and make your way back to table. From here, we're going to come either into pigeon, into the standing figure 4 variation, or onto our backs for thread the needle. So pick one of those outer hip releases. As you set yourself up, if you're taking thread the needle, you'll take the right ankle onto the left knee. If you're taking pigeon, you'll take the right shin forward. And if you're in the standing variation, of course, right ankle will also come to the knee. So here we get to soften a little bit through the shoulders. So whichever variation you're taking, make sure you're not carrying the tension of the shape in your shoulders and chest. Activate your feet, toes draw back, arches lift, find the corners of the feet. If you're in thread the needle, of course, that support left knee is coming towards you. If you're in the standing variation, your left standing knee is bending, your hips are moving back behind you. And if you're in pigeon, hug in with the legs until your hips lift up a little bit. And use that to help you reach back through the hips. All the same kind of action here. We're trying to keep the spine long and the curves of our spine intact. So there's a little curve towards the front body and the low back, a little rounding backwards behind us in the upper back, and then a little curve forward again through the neck. We'll be here a couple more breaths. If you have variations that you like, rocking the legs, bringing the hands to the floor if you're in the standing variation, rotating side to side if you're in pigeon, please feel free to add those in. And then taking all the time you need to get there, start to gently make your way out from this side and to come to the other side. Taking the left ankle onto the right knee, or taking the left shin forward. Again, getting active through the feet so that the toes are curling back, arches are lifting, pulling energy up through the inner thighs, and reaching back out through the corners of the feet so you feel your hips want to shift back. That's towards the mat if you're in thread the needle, back behind you if you're in pigeon or the standing figure 4 variation. Again, as you make your way in, finding your variation of this shape here, make sure you don't lose the connection and integrity of the legs and your spine. You're going to keep that sense that the pieces of the body are connected and that that support is what helps to guide the stretch rather than losing that connection, pulling against that tension, but without a sense of integrity and connection in the body. Again, we'll be here a few more breaths. Feel free to add in any variations that you might have taken on the other side. But that might feel good on this side, should this side need something different. Bringing any movement or rotation back to center. And release your hands and let your feet come down onto the mat. So from here, we're going to move through just one time of bridge pose. As you feel ready, once you've made your way down onto your back, place your feet so that your ankles are underneath your knees, feet are hip-width distance apart and parallel. And take a moment to bring your hands right to the tops of your thighs, where your legs and your pelvis come in to meet one another. And very gently press that space away from you. See if you can feel that you can let go in that area and let the femur bones, the bones of your legs, ground backwards. For just a moment, try the opposite. Press your thighs into your hands. And notice how in order to press your thighs forward, you have to round your back. So what we're trying to do is figure out how do we release this tension in the belly and the hip flexors so that as we move into a back bend, we aren't rounded to start with. Soften that contraction if you're still holding it. See if you can press the thigh bones away from you so that your sitting bones are reaching towards the mat. Low spine is long, belly, and this connection between the thighs and the legs is a little softer. Keeping that softness, bring your elbows alongside the ribs. And building your back bend piece by piece, let the elbows, the backs of the arms press at your shoulders. Let the shoulder blades draw towards one another.
Start to draw your shoulder blades down the back. You should feel your chin start to draw towards your chest. The upper shoulders extend. Reach your heels and sitting bones towards one another so you feel your pelvis maybe tip a little bit more into this arch. Now, as we come up into a fuller bridge, see if you can keep the back bend shape. Press into your feet. As you lift up, see if you can come up maintaining this arch. Notice whether your ribs want to press forward. You want to keep a connection through each of the sections of the spine. So if you know you move overly at that area, use just a tiny bit of engagement at the belly to make sure the ribs shift back. And then lengthen through your spine. See if your shoulder blades can scoop up the back of your heart. We're going to be here a couple of breaths. Do anything you like with the arms. Check in with your neck. Press back a little bit with your head, letting your chin come away from your chest, especially if you feel tension through the back of the neck. Give yourself a final breath here. And then start to gently release. Letting yourself come all the way back down. Once you've come down, as you feel ready, invite your knees in towards you. You can give them a little hug if that feels good to you. We're moving towards happy baby pose. So if hugging your knees feels good in your back, it doesn't for everybody. Please feel free to take a couple breaths there. When you're ready, let the feet come wide, knees as wide as your armpits, soles of the feet facing the sky, and catch a hold of what you can reach. That might be the outer feet, but it also might be the backs of the thighs. We want to aim to take the hips down towards the mat as we draw the knees towards our armpits. That means not only is the spine lengthening, but the legs have to ground pretty deeply into the hip sockets. And that asks the inner thighs, the backs of the legs, the structure of the hips to soften. We'll be here for a few breaths. Again, if you like, you can rock from side to side. Sometimes it can feel really nice to press up with one foot and then to release like you are walking. These are all just ways to invite your mind to understand, where is this release happening? What might be changing in this moment? Give yourself 2 more breaths here. And then start to gently release the feet. And we'll finish by taking a final twist. So if you have a favorite twist, please take it. If not, extend one leg out long along the mat. I'm going to extend the left leg long along the mat and tuck the right toes underneath the left knee. So this makes a convenient place to put your left hand. Let the foot and the back of the knee press into one another so that there's some connection into your center, and rotating the hips and the spine, keeping that right shoulder down on the mat. Let the right side lengthen as you allow that knee to come across and over. Again, if you like, you can let the twist come up into your neck, letting your gaze turn towards the right as the knee turns towards the left. Sometimes it can feel really good to press the outer edge of the bottom hip down. That invites the hips to stack, and it keeps the spine more in the center of the body. And start to gently release, coming back to center. And taking all the time you need to get there, switch sides. The right leg will extend, left toes will tuck underneath if you're taking that version, or of course taking the second side of whatever variation you're taking. Letting the right hand guide that left leg across and over. Again, thinking about letting go along this top left side so that the left shoulder remains down as the hips and spine rotate. See if you can feel how that rotation actually comes way up into the ribs. There's not a lot of rotation that happens in the low back, but there's a lot more ability to rotate from the perspective of the bones themselves in the upper part of the spine. Again, if you like, you can let your gaze turn towards the left. If you like, you can ground the right hip down.
Give yourself a final breath here. And start to gently come back up. And we'll start to make our way towards Shavasana. As always, if you have final movements that your body might be calling out for, please feel free to take them, whatever they might be. If you need an extra layer to be comfortable during your Savasana, make sure you've grabbed that so you can really allow yourself to settle and let go. Nothing pulling you back out away from center. Taking as long as you need to get there. Once you've found a comfortable place on your mat, give yourself a couple of cleansing breaths. Breathe in through your nose, and very gently out through your mouth. Give yourself 1 or 2 cycles like that. Letting the release of your breath be an invitation to really allow yourself to melt into the support of the earth. And then as you continue to follow your breath, see if you can soften in ways that allow you to get out of the way of your breathing, so that being breathed becomes this easy, dynamic dance that sends a vibration of energy, not just through the space of the center, but down through the arms towards the fingers, down through your legs towards your toes. See if you can even let that movement and that feeling wash through the fabric of your mind, making your mind feel like it pools into the back of your skull. Seeing if you can root yourself in the experience of your breath. very, very sweetly start to deepen your breathing. And let your breath bring you back up towards the surface. Bring a little gentle movement back into your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes. And as you're ready, let that expand in any way that feels right. Moving from the inside back out again. And then bending your knees. Make your way over onto one side. And taking all the time you need to get there, use your hands to help you come up to sit. Sitting in any way that feels comfortable to you. As you find a comfortable seat, let your hands come together in front of your heart. And take a moment to bow your head in. Thank yourself for making time to practice. Then bring your thumbs to your third eye and bow forward to close your practice. Namaste.